Namaste, Swagatam, and good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, good night, in whatever time zone you all are in. So, welcome back to the series Tell Me Appa, episode number 5. And just before I start, just say that 5 is my lucky number, and by birth path, I'm a 5 according to the Yantric number. And I think this series will be kind of lucky and it might give some good luck and all that. I just feel good before starting it. So, episode 5 of the series Tell Me Appa, I'm going to call it Attitude is All. Life is what we make it. So, I feel the title, I really liked it and I thought about it. Usually, I have a smaller title of just a couple of words, like 3 or 4. But this time, I thought, like, attitude is all, life is what we make it. So, I liked it. So, that's the title for the 5th episode. So, the first question. In the last episode, I asked about the multiple role a woman plays. Well, so do men. Especially once they are married, balancing their role as son, husband, father, and breadwinner. I feel women talk it out, men don't, and bottle it all up. How do you balance this?
That's a good question. In fact, Divya, I think the biggest struggle that we have as a man is that often we feel like a mridangam. With the mridangam, you are beaten on this side and beaten on that side. So I think one of the issues we have is இந்த மத்தளம் ரெண்டு பக்கமும் அடிப்பாங்க அப்படி சொல்லுவாங்க. So I think we get it in both sides. But I think one of the issues is, men, because they go out more in most of the families, they have more opportunities to sort of let off steam. And again, they are at work and, they have more opportunities to just go out. And the moment you can go out, there's more opportunities to sort of let go. And with emotional issues, it is very important to let go. So, whereas most of the women, especially in our country, they have a tendency to stay more at home. And so the emotions get repressed and suppressed, and then we have the blow up of volcanoes. So, I think one thing with a man is they have that advantage. The second thing is because the man is often considered the head of the family in this part of the world, sort of their perspective is taken as a sort of the more bigger perspective, and other people seem to adjust a bit more. So I personally think that men have it a bit more easy than women when it comes to this type of multiple attitudes. But the one issue that the men have is that they are so busy trying to be at the job, make money, keep the family running, pay the school fees, pay the telephone bills.
They're
and all
expected to do it, like it's not like an excuse.
So, absolutely. You must do it, and if not, you're not the man of the house. So I think there's a lot of stress that comes in, especially from the financial balancing act that they have to play. And also, again, society sort of thinks a man should not cry, a man should, not show any weakness. Sighing is if you cry, they think that it is a sign of a weakness. But in fact, I think it is very emotionally fulfilling that once in a while a man should cry. And we need to let our next generation know that crying doesn't make a man any the lesser, and not crying doesn't make a woman any more. So it is not about a woman can cry and men should not cry. I think that is a very old gender-based, unequal statement. Every human being should have an opportunity to cry, every opportunity to get mad and shout a bit, let go of steam a bit. I think every human being deserves the opportunity to just let go. And if they let go, we can prevent a lot of issues that would come, which happen otherwise because they bottle everything down. So, I think everyone has the same issue. Every human being has the same issue.
Okay. Maybe the men have more diversions and distractions?
I would say yes. The thing is that because there's a more of external oriented, especially our society now, Western society is slightly different, and so in different countries, things work differently. But speaking from an Indian society framework, definitely men have more opportunities for diversion and to again forget about the problems. So definitely yes, that is there.
So I think the person who asked it might be satisfied. Actually, I really like this. That's why I kept it as the first question because last episode we had, a lot of, speaking of the woman. And during that episode, I felt a little off that maybe we should bring out something for the men because anyway, everybody is a human being, okay?
Absolutely,
We
absolutely.
might have our own qualities, like men maybe have some strength in some field and
Yes.
women have strength in the other field.
Very true. And again, it is not, again, many people in modern times, they have taken this attitude, is it man or woman?
Yeah,
And so
comparing
it's a
and,
comparing and contrasting.
challenging.
And what we need to understand is both the masculine and feminine energies are part and parcel of creating balance in family, balance in society, and that even within us we have the masculine, feminine, ha and ta, which is why the Ardhanarishwar Shiva is so
Yes.
important. So we need both energies, and both energies have to be given space so that there can be this beautiful balance and the dance of the energies.
Speaking of the Ardhanarishwar, in Yoganjali we have, the student coordinator, Krishnavini Akka, and she's a good role model and she did the Ardhanarishwar for her dance Arangetram.
Very much, very
And
much. It's
the
a
costume itself was really a great idea and the work they put in and it really came out well. And I think the video might be in
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
So,
It is
yes.
a marvelous composition, and she did real justice to it.
Yes. I think that really brought out a lot. Okay. So I move on to my second question. What was your feelings when you got your first yoga research paper published? Your experience on doing the research?
Definitely a marvelous experience. And I was part of a team, a beautiful team with Professor Madan Mohan Ji, my yoga research mentor, and my yoga research brother, that is Kaviraj Udupa. And Kaviraj Udupa is now working at NIMHANS in Bangalore. And Madan Mohan sir, after retiring from SAITA and SPB, is now at Alpadi Vidu, heading the Center for Yogic Sciences. I remember in JIPMA when we started our work and we had this paper published. Now, the initial papers which were published were based on Kaviraj Udupa's thesis. So they were about the pranayama and heart function, autonomic function and pranayama. And then I think it was the third of our papers was the paper where I was the first author, and it was on Mukha Bastrika. And interestingly, that paper, I think it was 2003, 2003, I think it was published. And at that time, it was very interesting that Balaji and Dayanidhi were subjects in that study. They were students at Yoganjali and they did this while they were still in school. And today they are doing a PhD with us at SAITA of SPV. So that was the first paper where my name was the first author. And I think it gave a great sense of achievement. And Madan Mohan sir guided us on how we should set it up, how we should go about it, how to respond to the reviewers' comments, not to get disheartened upon refusal and critical comments that come. And also, I think what it started me on was a pathway that today close to 300 papers and abstracts published. I think it's a marvelous time to look back over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And when I see the number of reads that people have done on ResearchGate, on Academia, and on Google Scholar, for example, it gives great pleasure to me that my work in research, our team's work, because research is a teamwork, not an individual. So what I really love is that the research is being read by so many, being quoted by so many, and even there was a beautiful white paper on pain published recently by Matthew Taylor and Neil Pearson and others. And to see that one of my papers was quoted, whenever I get a Google Scholar alert, it says one of your papers has been cited in the new paper. It's a beautiful feeling. What
Better
I learned,
than when a person likes your post or.
see, each has its own plus point. I think with the research papers, because a research paper is the result of a lot of work in a very systematized manner, where you have done a lot of work that nobody knows about, and then you are publishing it, reaching people,
Yeah.
and then people are building on what you have done. So, you feel you have contributed to the science of yoga, and I think it's been a beautiful thing. And even now, whenever we publish a new paper, there's a very beautiful sense of joy. And now I'm at a stage where I follow my mentor in having other people as first author and all, because I know that the next generation, they need this type of recognition. We have had our recognition, and though I'm not so old, I feel already I've had enough recognition that I need the next generation of researchers to have that recognition. Because even my DSc was a recognition of all this type of work. So I feel that now is the time to help support others do well.
So the third question, well, that question is a bit like, it's more about the third episode where we dealt with your school and college. Did you ever cheat in exams during school or college? Did you and your classmates ever play any pranks on any or many of the teachers you had?
I'll answer the second part first. I don't think we've ever played pranks too much on teachers, because at school the relationship was very much a family relationship. So I don't really remember a prank as such. There may have been small things like wantedly, everybody would not be in the class when they came in and hiding under the table, or I think maybe putting. I think sometimes we may have tried to put a pin under the chair or something, but I don't really remember that. But I know that there were a lot of pranks on each other. So amongst the students there were a lot of pranks, but on the teachers I don't think we dared to do it, because in a residential school you would really be in trouble if you did anything wrong. And Premilaka and Rajan sir, they were strict disciplinarians, so we knew that discipline was paramount at BGV. Yes, discipline was very, very important. But there was a lot of fun. So like around holy time, putting colors on each other. And so in the ground, when Rajendra Nanne would play with us, Himanshu Rathore, our captain, was a fast bowler, and he wantedly bowled as if he's going to break Rajendra Nanne's head. And we used this type of pranks were there, hiding somebody's cricket bat or things like that. But I think in general we didn't do it. Coming to exams, I think I may have tried a few times, like writing bit papers or writing on my hand. And I think very early when I tried in my 7th standard or 8th standard, I must have got caught or something. I don't really recollect. But something in me said, you don't need to do that, because if you do that, you're not going to study. So I carried this on. And what I remember is that even in college, when I used to see my friends who were busy copying, I had a friend who used to talk about having a micro Xerox of the whole textbook. And he said, see Ananda, I'm going to get more marks than you because I have the whole textbook in a micro Xerox. And I told him, I said, your problem is you don't know for that question which chapter the answer is in. So you will spend the whole 3 hours of the exam looking for one question, whereas because I have studied, I will know where it is. So what I realized very early in my scholastic work was that people think copying and cheating is a shortcut, but actually it really never helps. And the second thing is that the moment you think I have it in a piece of paper, you're not going to remember it. Whereas if you don't have a piece of paper, you will always remember it. So I think this is something that carried into whenever I sing for the Yoganjali programs. If I have a piece of paper with that song on it, definitely I'll forget that song in the middle of the performance. But if I don't have a piece of paper, I will never forget a line because I say I don't have something to depend on, so I have to remember it. So I think this is a very important thing. Now, it is possible in some of the cricket matches we may have caught the ball wrong and appeal saying he's out, or sometimes I was batting and the ball hit my bat and the umpire didn't see it. I remember one episode in my childhood when the ball hit the bat and went, and everybody was jumping, he's out, and I was just standing because it was very beginning of the match and I didn't want to get out. And then after a few minutes, the umpire put his hand out. So I realized trying to cheat actually doesn't really help you. So I think that has been part of me that you realize that the shortcut doesn't really exist. And by doing that, you become a less version of yourself. So why should you be a lesser version of yourself? You have to be the best.
Well, actually, in school, like, as you say, like, I have my friends and they are copying, and, initially when you look at them, you're like, oh, they're doing it, and you see the teacher is not, like, they're not getting caught or they somehow manage it, but, like, if I'm in that situation, I know that I cannot, deny it, like, I will get caught for sure. And even with Andras, that's the problem. Like, he never lies. Like, even I might try to hide it a little bit with my speech, but he's like, yes, I did it, and that's the problem nowadays. You should be a person to say like, oh no, I didn't do it, and how can I do it? And you have to justify, but I don't think he knows that too.
Very true. See, actually, the thing is, ultimately, initially society may, punish you for being honest. But ultimately, if you look at it, I think it is the best policy when it comes to the long term. Short-term benefits are there. People think they get a short-term benefit, and what I've seen in my life already is that you don't get long-term benefits by cheating. Kandipa, you'll never get it. So better to take the proper route. You can sleep better, okay? At night you can sleep better because you know that, okay, fine, I've done my best. And again, the thing is, when you don't cheat, you don't have to make up lies. So you don't have to remember lies.
So one lie may
leads to another.
Yeah. Okay. So my fourth question. When you had medical knowledge and you got knowledge of yoga from the day you were formed as an egg in your mother's womb, later you want to combine yoga and modern medicine, give people a wholesome therapy. But at times, there are incidents and there are people who told yoga is aerobic exercise. Leave and go and complete post-graduation. How did you tackle those situations?
Yeah, it is difficult because, once you do your MBBS, everybody thinks that you have to go on and do MD, MS, and then do DCH and DM and all that. So, there is this push that you have to go into specialty, super specialty. And what happened was that I had done my MBBS at JNMC Varda under Nagpur University. And because I was gold medalist and also I was a topper student, I had opportunities that if I had stayed on for a few years, I would get most of the post-graduation that I would like. So it was open at that time. But then my thing was I wanted to come back to Pondicherry, be with Ammaji. I realized my life mission is the integration of yoga and medicine, not becoming a postgraduate doctor and going abroad. That's not my life. And I knew that right from the time I joined MBBS, that it was not going to be that type of life. So when I came back, there was a very clear-cut decision that, okay, I am not going to go into post-graduation. And if it comes, okay, but that is not the end of life. And the second thing is when Swamiji, for the last week in his life, in December 1993, he was in Apollo Hospital, Chennai. I saw all the super specialists who would come in, and I saw them see each patient, and the kidney specialist was only looking at the kidney, the heart specialist only at the heart, and the diabetologist could only look at the blood sugar values. None of them was looking at the person as a holistic being. They were only looking at their segment. And this is my territory, that is your territory. And I remember there was something, and Ammaji asked one of the doctors, he said, no, that specialist will come and tell you about that. So that set out in me. I just joined MBBS first year, 1993. So I said, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to forget that I'm dealing with a holistic human being, someone who is this wholesome being. So I think I was very clear that I would not go that path. I did some postgraduate in family health from Ramachandra in Chennai. I did a lot of postgraduate certification, then my MD in alternate medicine and the PG diploma in Annamalai. All that automatically happened. But when I joined JIPMER for the research fellow with Dr. Madan Mohan, I still remember one of my seniors there calling me and advising, this is not going to give you a future. After a few years, you won't have a job. Leave all of this, go into study well and become a postgraduate doctor. And it was very interesting. And I told him, no, my life is this. My life is yoga and medicine, and this is what is more important. And now recently, that same person was at an event and was praising Ananda is so good and has done so much. Yeah. So it's interesting that the same person who told you, don't continue on this path is today praising you for continuing it. Yes. Similarly, I had a singer, one of the singers in Pondicherry, who once told one of my friends that tell Ananda that his voice is not good, so he should take up some instrument and not continue singing. And recently, after one concert a few years ago, he came and asked in front of this, and he said, "Oh my God, it is so awesome. I can't believe there's so much that is blowing us away." So, see, for me, it is a small battle that I won. That people who thought my path was a wrong path, today are open to seeing it. And it is their greatness that they can also change the perspective. Because often, in such situations, people will just become your enemy. So instead of that, to appreciate and also publicly, I think it is very nice that people have that warm heart to appreciate, so I thank them. But yes, it is difficult. And this is why I know that people like Dr. Balaji and so many of my young doctors who are also in yoga, it is going to be very difficult because people expect you to be a 24-hour doctor and be a super specialist, which is also nice. But there are a lot of super specialists. But how many yoga medical doctors are there? Now, I'm not talking about medical doctors who get interested in yoga, learn a little yoga and become the yoga expert. I'm against that. There's a lot of that. But I'm talking of people who have yoga right from the childhood and then go into medicine, which is the model at Yoganjali we have had. So, be it Balaji, Lotika, even Sabarishri, then we have Kirtipriya, Padma Prashantini, all of these are young people who had the yoga, the dance in them, then have gone into medicine. So I feel that is what we need for the future. So I really, really appreciate that. It is a tough job. There will be a lot of people to criticize you. And sometimes you may wonder, I could be making more money. As one of my friends from medical college told me, anybody in your position would have done PG, gone abroad, become a big doctor, had a big house and a big car. And I'm like, maybe that's your goal, that's not my goal. My goal is to be a good human being. My goal is to help as many people as I can in this lifetime. And by doing what I have done, I am already where I wanted to be. And I still have my whole life ahead of me to do even more. If I had gone and done post-graduation and all that, I would have lost 10 years of very important productive work. So no regrets. In fact, on the contrary, I feel I made the right choice and I feel that I'm happy about the choice I made. So those who are thinking of this type of choice, go ahead and make it. You have to be you. Don't try to copy anybody else. Don't copy me also, because I am the mad yogi. Okay? Along with gangster yogi, the next one will be the mad yogi.
Well, all I would say is at your age, many people wouldn't have achieved as much as you have. So, sometimes many of the people around you maybe surely they'll be jealous of you, and it might come out in
jealousy is part and parcel of it. See, jealousy is part and parcel of it, and Jealousy is their problem, not my problem. So I am not jealous of them, so I have no issue. If I were jealous of somebody, then it is my problem. But if somebody is jealous of me, why should I be bothered about it? It's their problem. It is their gallbladder and liver that will have lot of bile, pitta, adi வந்து வயிற்றுச்சல்ல, they will have problem, not me. So I have no issue. I can sleep well.
Okay, so I think that's it. Today I kept the number of questions like 4.
Last time we had such a long episode that I told her, even people who love us may not watch a 1-hour episode. So I said we have to keep it short. But, non-stop talking runs in the family. And today I told people I'll give a 1-hour session of Yoga Sutra online. We had a 2-hour session. So, that's our problem. But we have tried to keep it short. But please understand that we have amazing, we have amazing opportunities as a human being. And we are not to be compared with anybody else. We are an individual who is unique in the history of humankind. Right? We are a unique specimen of humanity. Why should we compare with anybody else? We are the best we. That's our dharma, Manushya dharma. If we fulfill that, nothing else matters. Whether people like you or don't like you, it doesn't matter. Whether you have 1 research paper or 300 research papers, it doesn't matter. Okay? What is most important is, are you remembered for being a good human being? Have you helped people who are struggling? I think that is the most important, because I tell all my medical students, I tell everyone who comes to me, if as a doctor, if as a medical, paramedical person, if as a yoga therapist, you can even help 1 person in your life is well lived. Anything more than 1 person is a bonus that God has given.
Okay, so as in the end of the episode, I thank the people who have afforded to send the questions. Today, we have 2 new people and 2 the people who have been sending. So thanking Tejasvi Uma Kumarji. Well, I think she wanted to ask before, but she asked today. She had a question. She wanted a proper question to ask. And Reena Miss, thanking you. Kaustubh Desikacharji, I'm really happy that he asked the question about your school. Sorry that I leaked it, but actually I felt that I should ask. And Dr. Balaji sir, thank you. And
நல்ல விருதுகள் எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் அதிகம் நினைக்கிறேன். சேர்த்து வச்சு இதான் ரேட் வாங்குவீங்க. Some people have ganged up. They know that Dr. Ananda has no choice but to answer questions from his daughter. And you know very well, whatever she asks me, I'm going to give an honest answer. So you really have me கூண்டுல நல்லா மாட்டிக்கிட்டோம் உங்ககிட்ட. Go ahead, ask your questions, and we'll do justice to it as much as we can.
Yes. Okay, so thank you, and we'll be back soon with the 6th episode. Thank you, and hope you like this one.